मुझे अच्छा लगता है। अगर मेरे घर पे तो कोई छेड़ता है, मेरे बहन को कोई छेड़ता है, मेरी माँ को कोई छेड़ता है, तो कभी मुझे तकलीफ होती है, कभी मुझे मालूम पड़ता है कि छेड़ना बहुत गलत बात है। लड़के ने छेड़वा नहीं, स्टॉप दिस नॉनसेंस, स्टॉप इट, स्टॉप।
So what do you understand from this kind of documentary? One is the way in which the perception of the world is, the perception of boys and perception of girls. Second is how the popular media is also objectifying, and that is used as a medium of communication by those who are eve-teasing. You know the word item they use there to eve-tease the girls. And third is how strongly the message is coming that if you are in trouble, you use this number, that is a helpline. The way the helpline number message is given, the protection message is given, is quite interesting, that they use the same language to convey that this is not the right thing that you are doing. And also the hypocrisy, the double thinking that is there in the mind, that if anybody teases my mother or my sister, I don't tolerate it, but I have a right to eve tease. So if you don't tolerate, you don't do it. So this is the message that is coming across strongly. Now any reflection on that, any one of you want to talk, or yeah, please.
According to we are advocates, and we think the most safest place is would be the courts and police stations.
Yeah.
I've practiced for 2 years, and I've realized that not only in public streets and all of that, but eve-teasing is going on even in the courts. Even the accused who are brought to the courts, they eve-tease in front of the policemen and they don't tell them anything. Even in fact, they accompany them and laugh on what they are saying. Even the advocates who are the junior advocates, they come from some, I don't know from what places they come from. Even they pass on comments on women advocates. And even I used to feel uncomfortable. Even my father being an advocate was with me at that place, but still I used to feel insecure even in the courts and police stations.
So the public sphere, the discomfort in the public sphere is an important issue for women. One is that maybe because women are slowly entering these otherwise male dominated areas, there is a lot of discomfort when something new is happening. It is also a process of adjusting, but wasn't it brought to the attention of the authorities that such and such a thing is happening? The administrative judge should have been alerted so that they take strict action on these things and keep alerts. I mean, if the police who are accompanying accused, if they are not resisting it, then how will the accused know this behavior is intolerable and that court is a sacrosanct premise, you know. So there needs to be awareness on this and action taken on this. Yeah.
Apart from media, I believe that Bollywood movies have a large impact on the society. What is shown through the movies, people understand it quite better and even better how things are taking place. So instead of promoting revenge, instead of promoting something wrong, or maybe that boys teasing girls or so, they should promote more of how the women are being affected, or how the situation is worse in the society. That would create a lot of awareness in people.
Very good point, because I used to once do a workshop on young girls who were joining self-help groups, and some of them stopped going to self-help group meetings, which used to happen in the houses. Usually it happens like that. Then when I asked, they said that eve-teasing was intolerable. They thought that it is better to be safe in their own homes than getting out and becoming target of eve-teasing. It is very difficult. First of all, as such, because of such cultural connotation, every girl grows up with an idea that I am a second citizen, and then when such experience is encountered, the self-esteem is still repressed. So that might account for why we don't have so much of breaking of glass ceilings seen in higher echelons of work. For example, somebody will be employed but seldom they become managers or go to the highest level of possibility in an organization because of constant repression of this kind. That's why the law on sexual harassment prevention at workplace takes a lot of significance. So, we will come to that. Yeah. Yeah.
Ma'am, one more thing. I've seen in a documentary that even parents also, if they're being ill-teased,
Yeah.
girls, they come and report it to their parents.
Yeah.
They don't take any kind of action. Like they should go to the police station for awareness and all those things.
Yeah.
They don't report to the police. And many cases are there when they report it to the police doesn't take any action on that
Yeah.
particular matter.
Yeah.
They say ki like ladke hai chhechhad karenge. That is the only like excuse they give from their sides. So don't you think the law that has been given for sexual harassment is a bit weak on the side of this entire thing that is happening?
No, this other things, you know, the other public sphere, as I said, in roads and railway stations, whatever is there, with the CCTVs and other things, there is a need for implementing the existing criminal law in a stronger fashion. Railways are supposed to have their own police. The normal course of action should also be stronger, which happens in maybe states like Maharashtra are more alert on that, which recedes in certain other states. I mean, comes down the standard as you go upwards. Or I saw in Gujarat also it is pretty strong, the protection mechanism, the action of the police. But when you come to some of our places, I mean, where I was brought up, it was very difficult. What really worked was NGOs and others taking an agitation and public unity. A large percentage of girls who travel from villages to city colleges, they use this public transport. They were saying we use the buses to hit on girls. Now that is the, if that is the kind of this one, then parents also feel better not to educate girls in college, let them sit at home. So this really is dependent on the region to region basis. Now if at all this Delhi becomes very strong in terms of this with the new administration and central government, etc., that will really set a good model for India, that if situation can transform like that in Delhi, why not other cities or why not other states? For example, Bombay was always a good example of protection. Things have gone wrong, not to say that there is no crime, but the general protection is very good. 24/7 women work, productive employment, they engage in night duties are common. On the other hand, all these BPO and other kinds of call center employments, there also the trusted relationships resulting in wrong consequences, as we saw the Uber episode. So I hope I have responded to your question. Yeah. Yeah.
Ma'am, it is being said that education transforms a person.
Yeah.
But for every other problem we pose a solution to educate people.
Yeah.
If there is an increase in population, educate people. Therefore, educate people. What kind of education we are getting? Ma'am, when a child is born, he or she doesn't learn all these things from mother's womb. These things are, he gets to learn these things when he is staying in the environment. The atmosphere he is living in. So the people around him are somehow creating an effect on his mind, and so he is learning all these things. So what kind of education are we giving to students? Or like we are having sexual harassment at workplace also. Are those people working in various companies, whatever, they are all educated persons. But when they themselves are doing these things, then what is the definition of an educated person?
Yeah. The word, I mean, we should not be making a kind of sweeping sad statement, I suggest, because we feel that despite education these are behaving like this. So it makes us draw such conclusions, but we should not draw such conclusions because our education components are seldom critical. How many of you have done such an exercise in the past? What we did today? Nobody. So lack of that kind of critical consciousness raising, education as in rights education, political education, understanding the power structure, understanding why I think the way I am thinking. Is everything right about the way I am thinking? If I am going to a good college, I am taking a master's degree, that gives me a kind of stand in the society and a job. I think that I am a perfect human being. I don't have to work on refinement of relationships, respecting those who are different from me. So the lack of such critical component in the education is to be blamed. For example, why do we have judges using such language? Why do we have lawyers using such language? Isn't understanding of constitution and studying series of cases on discrimination good enough? Isn't it good enough to give that kind of sense? It doesn't. As you correctly said, and as we studied now, the unconscious bias, the stereotypes which are deeply seated in the mind need to be tackled. So, I was suggesting to Bar Council, we have to have a very strong component in continuing legal education on unconscious bias, because etiquette of lawyers is a casualty with this varied kind of bars and other things. And also the ethics, how did you study your professional ethics in your curriculum? You simply read a few cases and forgot about it. Ethics is something more than cases. It is about undergoing that journey of choice of morality, moral choices, the value choices that you make. How many have gone down that lane? Therefore, it is not simply education which leads to degree, but education which leads to these effective competencies, emotional competencies, spiritual competencies. So, that is a critical education. So, gender bias or any kind of bias can be transcended if there is what we call conscientization, and that is a process of deeper inner journey. You did a small bit of that. This, if we extend in a fully residential setting where you are isolated from the outside influences, the transformation when you come out will be stronger, and that is the kind of workshops in organizations we do.
Also with respect to all these helplines, etc. that are given, usually they are very understaffed, especially in remote areas, and the response time is a lot. In that response time, the incident would have already happened and
Escalated. Yeah.
come to know about it.
Yeah.
Also, there are like online forums in which you can lodge complaints, but nobody really responds.
Reads
to them.
that, yeah.
Nobody reads and nobody responds.
Yeah.
There is no use till the time these helplines are actually made practically available to the women. Just being there does not solve the purpose.
There hasn't been a considered study on this, but we must also thank these social media. But for social media, Nirbhaya episode wouldn't have come to limelight. Who knows how many bodies are being thrown like that? You think somebody will engage in such a heinous act unless they have a sense of impunity? I think they would have done it in the past, which they may not be revealing now, and this got caught because somebody had the courage to put it on the social media. So, there are pros and cons, but I think we should take it as a step in evolution. We are evolving to be a more refined society. Yeah.
Ma'am, I think with cases like Nirbhaya or crimes against women are categorized in such a way that only the serious crimes get any sort of response. But when it comes to smaller matters, like I was watching a video where a girl was being constantly touched covertly by a male passenger, and what her response was that she took a film of him and she questioned him that how can you do this, and he covered his face, and later on she said that he said sorry to bol diya tha, like I've apologized. And the thing is, all the surrounding male passengers were like he's already apologized, so there is no, it is not taken seriously, these matters. And the worst thing was the comments that were being passed on the video was, oh, this girl is just stretching such a small thing. So there is a categorization and there is a sort of pushing away of the smaller, they're considered smaller.
Smaller, yeah, that's what we saw in the Haryana episode, that even though the girls were blamed for exaggerating it, there was an issue, and that issue was undermined, that the fact that you have violated their privacy and have violated their bodies is wrong. I mean, it is not one-off episode, it is happening throughout India in some or another manner, Of course, now I see that slowly things are changing, but maybe it is in my part of my part of India, which is a limited part of India, in terms of the selections I make. A young girl cannot select when she is traveling from one place to another for education, for meeting somebody on her own. I mean, in our younger days, like I used to take a lot of night buses to save a day, working day. So many negative experiences, many a times I would have stopped the bus and beaten up the person and thrown him out of the bus, many such experiences. It's not easy to come up in life as a woman, I mean, at least in our times. Now things, at least you have your mobiles in hand and other things, so people are scared that you might be having your mobile on, and the vulnerability, I think, is always there. and we need to educate girls as well. It's a multi-pronged strategy. It is not, it is technology, it is self-defense. I am coming to that. It is about awareness, all three. Yeah, one by one, I'll come there.
I think what we saw in the video, the basic problem is the psychology of people.
Hmm.
Like what we see two instances, in one where the females say that even though we wear salwar kameez and we are completely covered, we are victims of eve teasing.
Exactly.
And on the other hand, males say that just because they wear shorter clothes or fashionable clothes, they themselves are giving us chances to conduct eve teasing.
Somebody wearing shorter cloth and treating it as invitation, whose fault? Who gave you that power of interpretation? And another thing is, how do you explain little children being raped?
Exactly none. We cannot say that.
So I don't think it is justification. I mean, there was that discussion by Verma committee as well. Justice Leela Seth spoke about it. Why are little children targets?
And there was a case in which 77 years old nun was raped. Nun being provocative is not at all a question, but then also such incidents happen. So it essentially is not the fault of the women as such, which practically the whole society wants.
It's a kind
to
of
portray
female body. I think it's a misogynist, misogynist attitude, that difficulty of association, you know, that the body which is different looking and the body which is representing somebody who has been an influence on you, your mother, the inability to connect and grow beyond that, you know, and see the rest of the world in reflection of that. So somewhere I think, as she correctly pointed out, there is a problem in the way we have educated as a society, not just as institutes, but as society, as homes. You correctly pointed out that. The whole process of adolescence, I think handling of adolescence and man becoming a process of man or woman is not being handled well in our homes. I would make this statement very boldly. So I think it is something that is beyond law, and law can make provision for that by creating systems of counseling, compulsory counseling, mentoring, and all these kinds of. We come across so many instances here also. We deal with that because we feel that you need to have a holistic approach, not a very narrow approach.